Good morning. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and I am here to talk to you about something that happened over the weekend in McKinney, Texas, that many of you may already be aware of. We're trying to do our best to keep you on top of this information, and in order to do that, I brought two of my just truly respected colleagues, Mr. Benjamin Dixon from the Benjamin Dixon Show out of Boston. How you doing today, Ben?
I'm doing great. How are you, Dr. Watkins?
I'm doing very well, and of course, last but not least, Miss Yvette Carnell out of Atlanta, Georgia. How you doing today, Yvette?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing really well. Now, Yvette's down at breakingbrown.com, and I just realized I committed a faux pas. It should be ladies first. Plus, she has seniority over all of us. So just so you know, I love both of you guys. So I didn't want to, I should have mentioned
No
Yvette first,
mistake.
but you guys get the point. Okay, so here's what went down. A lot of people know about this, and I love to get your take, and I can start with you, Yvette, on this. There was an incident in which there was apparently a fight that happened at a pool party between an older white woman and a young black woman. A woman looked like the older white woman was in her 20s, and the black woman was about 14 or 15. And a lot of the people there were saying that it started from racial slurs being thrown at the black kids. When the white woman was confronted about her racial slurs, she hit the black girl first. And as a result of this fight, the police were called. Next thing you know, there's video where the police appear to be going after all the black kids, got them handcuffed on the ground, grabs a black girl by her hair, slams her to the ground, throws her face into the dirt, puts both of his knees on her back. She's screaming and crying in pain. And so this video gets out. It goes super viral. Everybody's talking about this. Um, Tell me, Yvette, when you first saw what went down, you saw the original video of what this one officer was doing to these kids. What were your thoughts?
I think I was enraged. Like I didn't even expect to be that enraged. I expected this to be an incident of like officer misconduct, but I didn't expect it to be like that. I mean, when you saw the video, I mean the officer does what he does first is he intentionally escalates the incident. Like you hear him use expletives. He used the f's words, he used the asses word. I mean, he is just cussing at these kids like, these are people who just robbed a bank or somebody just killed somebody. And that's the first thing I see. Then I see the black boys I see first, they're like lined up and they're trying to tell you what's going on, and you're just like, shit down and shut up and all of that. And it's just like you're treating them like trash. And these are kids, these are impressionable teenagers. You wouldn't treat your kids like that. You wouldn't treat, white kids in suburbia like that. But it's okay for you to treat these kids like trash. And then you beat the girl. And I think, one of the memes that's going around right now is a comparison of the white bikers who actually murdered a bunch of people and how they treated these black teens. The white bikers were kind of sitting there. They didn't even have handcuffs on. They were just all in a group, just made to like sit there and and be nice. But you throw this black teenage girl to the ground in her bathing suit. So I think my first reaction was just rage.
So Ben, you're a father, and you saw this go down,
Yeah.
and you and I talked about this yesterday, and it seemed like our reactions as fathers was very similar. Uh, I was trying not to talk too much because I didn't want to say stuff that I was going to have to explain later on, but I know I felt my sense of rage. First, I want to ask you, can you describe your reaction to the video, and also, how do you think that officer would react if somebody grabbed his daughter or his son and treated his child the same way he was treating those black children?
I mean, without question, Dr. Watkins, if this had been his daughter and someone else was doing this to him, he would do what any father or mother would do. Any relative seeing their family member assaulted like this for no reason whatsoever, then the girl talked back or the girl questioned why he was doing what he was doing, because no charges were placed against the girl. She was released into the custody of her parents, so she did nothing wrong. And if any parent saw that, I don't even want to I don't like to describe what we would do because we don't really know how we would react, but I definitely know it would not have gone well if parents had been there on the scene. And so this officer knows, and you could kind of tell in the video, he knew he had gone too far, but sometimes you go so far and you just don't know how to pull it back. So he knows he was in the wrong. And I think if any parents had been there, it would have escalated completely out of control, because we should not have to just acquiesce to the demands of crazy people. I mean, this officer was out of control from the moment he stepped in the scene of the video all the way to the end of the video.
Hey Yvette, did you see when the guy grabbed the girl, slammed in the ground? Everybody reacted and kind of screamed, and then the two young black males kind of ran up, like what are you doing? And you saw what he did after that, right?
What do
Did
you
you see?
do?
He pulled
Somebody,
out. He pulled. Oh, I
he
don't know if
tried
he does.
to,
He pulled out his gun on these
yeah,
two young boys, and they
he
started
pulled.
running away. What'd you think about that part?
I mean, you pull out your gun on unarmed teenagers.
Right.
You're pulling out your gun, and it's obvious. It's obvious that these boys aren't trying to beat you up. They're trying to prevent you from abusing a female teenager. They're not trying to hurt you. They're trying to say, "Hey, don't hurt this girl." And you then escalate instead of saying, "Yeah, yeah, you know what? Just sit there. I don't have to do all this to you. I got, you're just like you just get riled up because in your mind, it's almost as if in your mind, black people are like apes or something. You're like some type of zoo wrangler or something. And that's to me that's how you see us. That's what let me know. Okay, this is how you see us. I have no doubt in my mind that if those teenagers had been white, we had, like I just said, we had white bikers, and you all did who had murdered like what 9, 10 people, whoever, however many they killed, and you didn't do anything to them. You let them sit quietly. But this is how you do us, and we're catching it on camera, and nothing's happening. It's like we're catching you on camera treating us like trash. You're pulling a gun on somebody's kids who were at a pool party and a fight broke out because somebody told him to go back to Section 8 and get used to the bars around the pool. That's what you're going to be. That's inflammatory language. Of course these kids are going to be, hurt. These are impressionable kids and you still didn't take their side. You still took the wrong side. So it's like even when we do the right thing, there's that we're still going to be treated like animals.
Well, one interesting thing, Ben, is that I saw a video interview with a young lady who was involved, and
Right.
she was, I think, the person that was involved in the original fight, the one who got hit by. She claims that the white woman hit her first, and it was an adult white woman, and you can see from the video that the girl is just a kid. She's 14, 15 years old, and she. Was talking about some of the racial slurs that were used, that this other person, took the first blow, and it almost seems to me that Yvette's question of her, what seems to be maybe a hypothetical, theoretical question, actually is a practical question in the sense that we know what would have happened if he was dealing with white kids because white kids were there. White
Absolutely.
people
Yeah.
were there,
Yeah.
and when you look around that scene and you look at who's handcuffed, who's on the ground, who's getting their face shoved in the dirt, who's
Black
getting
kids.
cussed at, what the white kids weren't getting cussed at. One of the
Right.
white witnesses actually said that the officers walked past. I don't know if it was a him or her. They said the officers walked past me like I was invisible and
Right.
went after the black
Yeah.
kids.
Right.
So it seems to me that we know what would happen if this occurred. Now I'm going to ask you about this, Ben. I looked up this brother. No, I don't even call him a brother. I call everybody brother. It's the Cornell West in me. I saw him call everybody brother, so I try to do that to be friendly. But Eric Casebolt, the name of the cop who was involved in this incident, I shouldn't use the word brother to refer to him because he's not a brother of anybody except other savage people like himself. Eric Casebolt, from what I understand, according to the Atlanta Journal Constitution and the Heavy.com, he was named Officer of the Year. Did you know that? Have you seen this?
I didn't know that. I did see that that he was a supervisor, that he was like this he is part of the leadership structure of the precinct that he represents. And that's not surprising to me only because of the way those two officers who were on the scene said nothing to check him, said nothing to correct his behavior, saw his behavior, let him do it and just let him get away with it. So that lets me know that one, they're either just terrified of their partner, or two, this guy was in some type of leadership. But it's absolutely unacceptable that this type of leadership behaves in this manner. I mean, how do the rank and file behave? That's what comes to mind when I see this.
Yeah, just so people know, Mr. Case Bolt was named Officer of the Year in 2008. He's also a patrol supervisor. He's vice president of the local police union. He also is what else do we have about Case Bolt here? Let's see. He and the other officers were called to the pool because of a disturbance. That's what the police chief is saying. He appears to have added this video. He actually took this video
To his YouTube.
to a list of training videos on
Yeah.
his
He's
YouTube
proud of it.
account, and he has served in the Navy as a military policeman and operations specialist. And also, he teaches a self-defense class and has experience, quote, experience in use of all levels of force. And I'm gonna read a quote about him. And Yvette, I want to get your take on just everything I've just told you about this man. He's an instructor at Executive Self Defense and Training and Fitness Training based in McKinney, and their quote on their website is, Eric Casebolt is an instructor trainee at Executive Self Defense and Fitness. He's been a police officer since 2000. During his career in law enforcement, he has received in-depth training in impact weapon deployment and expandable baton firearms, electronic control devices, ground fighting, positive assertive control tactics, dynamic threat response, handcuffing, joint locks, pressure point compliance, etc. It keeps going down the list. He has a strong working knowledge of human behavior, indicators of deception, criminal behavior, the development of situational awareness, and experience in use of all levels of force. So there's more to it, but he's also trained in various forms of martial arts, etc. So when you hear this guy's background, especially this part about Officer of the Year, what do you think that this says to us, Yvette?
Well, let me ask a question. Was he the one who was sliding across the ground doing those superhero tricks at the
Him.
beginning of the video?
I think so.
That's him?
This is not funny, but what was that? Was he being? I think he was.
He
That
started
part
like
I
spinning
didn't.
fast and popped up for no reason. Somebody, one of the officers did that. Was that him? I
That
don't
was
know if that's him. I
that was
think that's him though.
yeah.
This need to show off. That's why he's putting up the video too. And the thing that the putting up the video shows is that you saw nothing wrong with what you did.
It
Like if
was
you saw something wrong with what you did, you would not have put that video up. You would have been like, "Oh my God, I lost my head or whatever. I'm not really going to do that. I'm not really going to put that video up." What's being reported this morning is that he put the video up and the name associated with him on his account or YouTube or whatever had that video. So the
right.
assumption is that he put it up. I don't know if that's true, but if he did that, it leads me to believe the dude, you saw nothing wrong, and I don't see, and that's key to me because it's not a mistake that this guy with this attitude and with this sort of rage and with this sort of inclination to escalate things is a supervisor. That's who supervisors are in a lot of these police departments, and that's intentional. And that's why I tell people that these aren't just a few bad apples. This is systemic. This is design. They're designed. I mean, police now are kind of like a force for the United States government to kind of keep poor people in their place. You know what I mean? Because even
Hmm.
with just not just these kids, you think about it, there are not enough jobs. People are robbing or whatever. And the thing is, they're supposed to bring down the blow to keep you in your place, so that hey, you don't have a job, but that doesn't mean you can disturb rich people. That doesn't mean you can disturb anybody. And we're gonna and we, if we can, we're gonna put you in jail so you can work for free. So you'll have a job, you just won't get paid for it. So I think part of the problem here, and I've heard a lot of people say this. I know I wrote something a while back, that got a lot of play about Russell Simmons, who was like, most cops have a good heart or whatever. And this is not about that. This is a systemic problem that we have. This is not about a few bad apples. We're getting so many videos every week about this. Like, I can't even keep up. This is not about a few bad apples. We have a crisis in this country and somebody needs to address it. And we need to address this stuff legislatively. This isn't just about, oh, well, we reported it. Well, what are you going to do about it?
Right. Right.
Interesting, interesting. Well, it does seem that one thing that was clear from at least from what has been presented, and I'm so happy that people videotape this because if there was no videotape, there would be no case for these kids. I
No,
mean, they're not going to take the word of a bunch of young black children over these decorated police
officer of the year.
officers of the law, right? And it reminds me of a couple of things. One, that the police. A lot of people say the police are here to protect and serve, and I don't think that's true. They're actually here to protect the rich from the poor, the white from the black, and so they become kind of a military force, an occupying force on behalf of white America to control what they consider to be packs of crazy niggas, right? In fact, if you even go back to the Black Wall Street massacre, where white men were deputized and allowed to go in and kill black people without any consequence whatsoever, one of the ways that the story was portrayed in media was brave white men go to the black neighborhood to control out of control
Yeah.
Negroes, right? And so that's the consistent narrative that has been presented about us for hundreds of years. And the other thing that was interesting from this video is that police are supposed to be the cure for instability, but it almost looks like he was the virus.
Exactly.
He took a tiny fire and turned it into a forest fire. And if you look at his page, where he has these training videos. One of the videos is actually titled "Milwaukee Police Chief Tells Black People What They Don't Want to Hear."
Right.
or something like that, which I think is very interesting. It might say something about who he is. It might not. I'm not sure. But Ben, I want to get your take on this. I'm gonna read what the ACLU said, and then I'd like to get let you get the last word on this, so I can let you guys get back to your day. And then Yvette, if you have something to say about this, I'd love to hear that as well. The ACLU of Texas says, while we don't know all the facts about the party, the crowd, or whether a fight broke out, what we do know is that the police response, as seen on the video, appears to be a textbook case of overuse of force. A well trained police department would have responded more cautiously, with less hostility, using sophisticated crowd control methods that favor de escalation, not escalation. Without question, guns were not needed, and in fact, risked turning a group of partying teenagers into a violent encounter that could have turned deadly. Police departments are intended to be organizations that protect and serve constituents, but increasingly in this country, we have two kinds of policing, and we saw both in this incident: protecting and serving white communities, and criminalizing and controlling black communities. Ben, what's your take on all of this I've shared with you?
I think they hit that spot on. The fact that he ran completely past every white person, and without getting any information, without ascertaining anything about the situation. One side note, I do want to hear the 911 call that caused them to come out like raving lunatics, because a lot of times the impetus of these police officers is the 911 calls. That's the 911 call that killed, ultimately led to the death of Tamir Rice. The 911 call that led to the death of Crawford in Ohio. It was all about these erroneous 911 calls that were called and put in because of the fear of blackness. Quite frankly, you have black people in the place, they have to be doing something wrong. And so here comes the police officer charging in, goes right past all of the black people, all the white people, and goes directly and pulls down and creates this situation where, like the ACLU said, it could have escalated to the deaths of these teenagers, because the police officer turned what you said, Dr. Watkins, a small fire into a forest fire. And so, if this is here's the problem, though, he put it up and he considers this something that is training worthy. So this is not only something that is systemic, but this is something that they're lauding. This is what they are proud of. They feel in their minds, and I did a piece on this, that they have the right and the duty to wrangle and to corral black people because they have to teach us a lesson. And that's what that officer went there to do. He went in there to teach all those young black kids a lesson. And that's really, quite frankly, what this entire story is about, is a bunch of white people who feel like they have the right and the authority, whether they're deputized by the law or not, to tell black people what they should be doing, where they can go and what they can't do. And that's what's wrong. That's the systemic problem that we have to really drill down to.
Yvette, I don't know if you know this, but today I was all over this story all day yesterday because my reaction was similar to you too. It's just it was so different from all the things that we see. I mean, you all of us have seen probably hundreds of these videos, but there was something about this one that just turned your stomach. So I was obsessed with the story yesterday, literally to the point where I couldn't work for about 7 8 hours. I had to just meditate because I was feeling myself physically responding, like having unhealthy reactions to this. One thing that I did see was I saw that there was that people in white residents in the community had put up a sign supporting the police and thanking them
Yeah.
for this incident, for what they did. Number two, there was a claim initially that I'd seen in some parts of the media that these black kids were at a party they didn't belong at, when actually the indicator, the final conclusion was that they actually many of these black kids actually live in that neighborhood, and they because when they interviewed the little girl, they said, "Where do you live? Do you live in Section 8? Did you come from across town?" She said, "No, I live down the street. I live in this neighborhood." Because this is an affluent kind of area. The third thing is that the first video that I saw actually stated that this happened after a teenager attacked a white woman.
Mm.
But from what witnesses are saying, the white woman not only was being belligerent with the black kids making racial slurs, but she slapped the black girl first. And that's when the fight began. And then, if you watch the video of the fight, for what I saw, the fight had already progressed when somebody started recording it. Another older white woman comes in and is hitting the black girl in the head to get her off of her relative, right?
Mm.
So this black girl's getting attacked by two people. There were two black guys pulling the black girl off of the white woman, but they weren't hitting anybody. They were just trying to break up the fight. The girl's mama, or the white girl's mother, sister, whatever, came up and was hitting the black girl. So she's being attacked by two white women, but the way it was portrayed in media is this girl attacked a white woman. That's why it happened. Uh, Based on those three things I've just shared with you, what comes to mind for you?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind with me when you share that to me is Ida B. Wells Barnett. Ida B. Wells Barnett, warned years ago about white media and about they how they always, caricature us as rogues and cutthroats. And those were her words. And we could use those words today, you know. And so when I think about that, I think it's intentional. I don't just think, oh, this is piss poor reporting. No, this is intentional. This stuff where everybody is caricaturing these kids. And it's just like, where was the responsibility of the adults? Like if I'm at a pool somewhere and I see some kids, even if they're mouthing off, I might say, hey, come on, y'all, just calm down. There's no need to act out. Come on. And that's not what was happening here. But even if that had happened, that's who I am as an adult. I'm not going to attack a teenager. I'm an adult. I have a standard. You know what I mean? These adults failed miserably to adhere to a standard of adulthood. And that's who we should be talking about. They instigated an incident, a racial incident, and then called the police, and then the police escalated and hurt a teenage girl and could have killed someone. I don't, these are like white people going wild. Like we should have like white people going wild videos. Like you should have girls going wild videos, just white people going wild videos. That's what's happening here. And all the time they're like, but the black kids, but the black teenagers that came to swim and have fun, really? You're putting it all on them? Like, where is your sense of adulthood? Where is your standard? Where is your I'm going to hold myself up as an example to these young kids? You don't care because you view us as animals. And so that's what we should put out there. And that's also, I say it again, that's the importance of black media, because you can't trust these people. They have rogues and cutthroats. Look at these pack of wild, feral black children just come out of nowhere without no mama, no daddy, and don't know how to act. And that's the story they go with.
Well, Ben, I went with Yvette first, so I want to end with you. Tell me what your thoughts on what I just shared, and also what you hope to see come out of this.
I'm gonna be honest. My thoughts are I can't hang with Yvette because Yvette was gonna make me go outside and throw something, turn because she hit you, Yvette. You hit that dead on the head. The way they portray us, and the fact that they see us as people that they have the authority to instruct and lecture because they see us as lesser. They see us not as equals. They see us as children, and no matter what age we are, they feel like they have the right to come and correct everything that we do, everything that we say, and our very presence to them is a threat. So long as that is acceptable, so long as that is the paradigm, we will always have incidents like this. And if we don't address it at the core is this conception, this misconception in the mind of a lot of white people that black people are vagabonds and barbarians that need to be cultured and need to be brought and civilized. That's the word I'm looking for. That we need to be civilized, and they have the right and the authority merely because they are white to instruct us and lecture us, and that is not acceptable. That is what is going to make me turn over this table. So I'm going to be quiet right here for a minute. I'm turning back to Dr. Watkins.
All right. Well, you know what? Speaking of turning the tables, the table has been turned on Mr. Casebolt. He's not going to be able to walk around without feeling some sort of pressure, some sort of threat toward him, because I know there are a lot of black parents around the country, white parents too, who saw this, and I tell you what, if somebody went to his house and treated him the way he treated that little girl, I wouldn't bat an eye. Wouldn't care. And one thing that does speak to what you guys were saying about the threat issue is I can't help but keep thinking about the way he responded to those black males. They are a threat. Let me get my gun right now. They don't have a gun, but they running up on me. I need to be ready to murder a 14-year-old kid right now because I am so afraid. I need to end somebody, kill their whole future right now.
And
Because
you're a
I'm.
martial arts expert. You're a martial arts expert, right?
Mhm.
But
Right.
but these unarmed black teenagers who, teens are little. Teens, you don't get your grown man weight until later. These are little teens. You can't take them out all that martial arts training. So I'm gonna let it go.
No,
Yeah.
no, that is so true. That is so true. And I tell you, I saw a white guy actually go on. He commented on this on YouTube, and he said, you know what? He said, if I were African American, he said, I would start taking my children to the gun range at an early age. he said, because you ain't gonna come up in my community and act like that toward me, and so I'll let you guys walk away with that part. That's another conversation, but you know what? It's hard to argue their logic sometimes, or all the time, because I think that we have a serious issue and it needs to be addressed. Well, thank you guys very much. This has been our first triple Skype, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. this is a dream come true for me. I don't know about you guys, but I've enjoyed this. You guys gave the perfect analysis that I think the community needs. So thank you very much to both of you.
Thank you, Dr. Watkins.
Appreciate it.
All right, everybody. This is Miss Yvette Carnell from BreakingBrown.com. I hope you go to her website, support it. Also, make a donation. You still got that donation button, Yvette?
Yeah, it's still up there.
Okay, make a donation. Like
$5.
$5. $5. That's all you need. And believe me, she's worth the $5. She's more worth it than the people selling you Jordans or the people selling you stuff at Walmart. In fact, give her 10, 15, 20. Just keep it up. Come on. We got to support people that we care about. She gives good independent media, does a great job. Ben, his site is thebendixonshow.com. Is that correct, Ben? Make sure
Yeah,
I
they
say it
can
right.
do Dixon or the
The
BenjaminDixonShow.com.
I keep shortening his name, and that's wrong. My bad, brother. Do you
No
have a
problem.
donation button?
I don't have a donation button, but I am on Patreon. So if they go to the patreon.com/the BPD show, they'll find ways that they can support our show.
Yvette, do you even know what Patreon is? I don't know. I
I
ain't never
don't
heard
know
of it.
anything.
I ain't heard about no Patreon. Well, we're gonna go find. We're all gonna leave so we can go find out what Patreon is, and we're also gonna find out more about Mr. Casebolt, because we will stay on this case. And now that the rest of the community is aware of what you did, sir, we will get in that ass. We will deal with you. You cannot go bully children. That's
Not a-
not gonna happen. So just understand that our goal right now. We're angrier than Mitch McConnell was when Obama got elected. So, like McConnell, our mission is to seek you out and deal with you by any means necessary. So, until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. We are gone. Peace.